There are pains, fatigue, and disturbances you mistake for illness, when in fact, they are your body's final cry for help before it collapses. What is happening inside you that no one has ever told you? I am Ethan Marshall, a 60-year-old physician living in the United States, with more than 3 decades studying the body's self-healing mechanisms. And let me tell you this, most of the fatigue, weakness, and health decline people experience in midlife does not come from aging, but from your colon crying out for help. Hard to believe, isn't it? Yet it's the truth no one has ever said to your face. Before we go on, if you want to keep receiving deep practical insights that can transform your health, make sure to subscribe, like, and share this video. Your support motivates me to create more meaningful content for the community. Now I want you to revisit your own health journey. Many people come to me in a rush, having heard somewhere that eating only fruit leads to perfect health, and they apply it immediately with great enthusiasm. But the human body does not operate under that kind of haste. We carry the legacy of decades of careless eating. Red meat, concentrated starches, refined sugar, fried foods, processed meals. All of these accumulate silently into mucus, pus, and waste without our awareness. Throughout my career, I have never met an adult whose colon was as clean as they believed. Even those who think they are healthy eaters often harbor hidden blockages, just waiting for a major change to erupt into a crisis. This is why those who jump straight into an all-fruit diet almost always experience reactions: headaches, exhaustion, digestive upset, dizziness, even insomnia. It's not because fruit is harmful, but because the body hasn't been prepared for that sudden cleansing speed. I always remind my patients that nature operates slowly, orderly, and with intelligence. Our bodies are designed by the same principle. When you force it to change too quickly, it cannot keep up. The digestive system, lymphatic system, liver, and kidneys all need time to open their own detox valves. Push too hard, and the toxins once stuck to the intestinal walls get stirred up and enter the bloodstream faster than the body can process. In that moment, people assume the method is unsuitable, when in reality they simply haven't entered the process correctly. I often joke that we don't grow old because of age, but because waste has accumulated to the point the body can no longer protect us. The sad truth is that many people don't fail because of lack of knowledge, but because of their own impatience. The very first essential step in this journey is understanding that the body always needs a transitional phase, a moment of stepping back to prepare for a healthier life ahead. Before we move on to the next section, I want you to answer a question to observe yourself. A. Do you believe the body needs time to adapt to change? Or B. Do you believe jumping straight into fruit is the best way? Choose A or B and leave your answer below. I want to see where you currently stand on this path. Abruptly switching to a mucus-free diet always carries significant risks, especially for a body that has accumulated years of biological waste and mucus clinging to the colon, connective tissues, and circulatory system. When the rate of detoxification exceeds the capacity of the elimination organs, the body immediately produces acute systemic reactions. Symptoms such as headaches, exhaustion, digestive disturbances, sudden diarrhea, or insomnia are not signs of improvement, but indicators of overload. In this state, toxins are released rapidly while the elimination pathways remain closed, causing them to return to the bloodstream and trigger self-intoxication. This phenomenon is common among individuals who begin an all-fruit diet without adequate preparation. Classical natural hygiene and physiology both indicate that an unclean colon is the source of many intense reactions when the body is stimulated by highly cleansing foods. This situation becomes more severe in people accustomed to consuming large amounts of starch, animal products, or processed foods, as their intestinal walls tend to accumulate thick waste layers that cannot be expelled in a short time. When the transition occurs too quickly, these deposits detach en masse and create blockages at various points, increasing pressure on the colon and the associated nervous system. This leads to symptoms such as bloating, cramping, nausea, declining strength, and prolonged mental fog. Another risk of sudden dietary change is overstimulation of the autonomic nervous system, which disrupts regulatory balance. Individuals may experience energy depletion, difficulty concentrating, and irritability. These reactions are not side effects of the diet, but evidence that the body has been pushed beyond its natural recovery capacity. Those with chronic constipation are at even higher risk, as their primary elimination pathway is restricted. When fruit stimulates strong detoxification, waste is pushed upward but cannot pass downward, creating a prolonged rebound effect. This sometimes leads practitioners to mistakenly conclude the method is harmful when the real issue is a lack of structured transition. Clinical observations reveal that most failures in adopting clean eating stem from impatience in the early stages. People underestimate their health baseline and overlook the essential requirement that the body must be prepared before entering a high detox state. Thus, the greatest risk of abrupt transition lies not in the food itself, but in the speed of change, exceeding the body's tolerance threshold. Only by understanding this mechanism can one design a safe and sustainable plan. The transition diet functions as a physiological buffer that protects the body from sudden detox pressure and allows the digestive system, especially the colon, to gradually adapt to changes in the nature and intensity of foods. Unlike the mucus-free diet, which strongly activates waste removal, the transition diet uses more neutral foods, cooked vegetables, light salads, or well-toasted bread, to maintain a stable detox rhythm without sudden spikes. These foods do not contribute additional waste, but also do not accelerate the release of deeply embedded toxins, thereby reducing strain on the liver, kidneys, and lymphatic system in the early stages. Its mechanism is based on slowing detoxification enough to keep elimination pathways open. With soft, easily digested, but not overly cleansing foods, the intestinal walls regain natural motility, improve circulation, and prepare for higher detox intensity later on. This period also allows the gut microbiome to rebalance, preventing disruption caused by abrupt dietary shifts. The transition diet is particularly valuable for individuals with weak health foundations or long-standing chronic symptoms. These cases often involve reduced elimination capacity, making a direct shift to a mucus-free diet overwhelming. Transition foods help modulate the body step by step, avoiding additional stress on compromised organs. This stability forms the basis for gradually strengthening the body's innate healing ability. When toxins are released at an appropriate pace, the intestines avoid blockages caused by rapid detachment of waste, and the risk of self-intoxication decreases. In classical approaches, practitioners consistently regard the transition phase as an essential stage before fully entering a clean diet. They observe that any change exceeding the body's tolerance destroys motivation, triggers physical crises, and interrupts the healing process. Thus, the primary function of the transition diet is not merely to assist detoxification, but to help individuals sustain their long-term healing journey. As each organ regains its natural function, a stable physiological foundation forms for deeper cleansing phases. In this way, the transition diet becomes a safe, scientific, and indispensable stepping stone for comprehensive health improvement. In clinical practice and traditional records relating to cleansing diets, abundant evidence shows that gradual transition produces more stable and lasting results than abrupt change. Monitored cases reveal that step-by-step practitioners experience gradually decreasing symptoms, improved energy, and restored digestive function without severe detox crises. Some illustrative cases involve individuals with long histories of constipation, fatigue, and sleep disturbances who began their transition diet with cooked vegetables, light salads, and well-toasted bread while monitoring bowel habits. After several weeks, stool frequency and quality stabilized, abdominal heaviness decreased, energy improved, and systemic symptoms subsided without medical emergencies. Natural health researchers and colon scholars consistently emphasize core lessons. First, Evaluating baseline health and colon blockage levels is essential before changing the diet. Second, creating individualized plans based on age, digestive history, and activity level reduces risks. Third, monitoring daily symptoms and implementing a step-back mechanism, reducing fruit intake and increasing cooked vegetables. When overload appears, is a practical strategy for maintaining progress. Fourth, supportive measures such as improving bowel habits, adding gentle physical movement, and in some cases using guided colon cleansing techniques can shorten adaptation time when performed under supervision. Classical practitioners also affirm the value of consistent transitions. Communities that adopt stepwise cleansing approaches report higher long-term adherence and fewer dropout cases caused by detox reactions. Another key insight is the importance of educating practitioners beforehand. When individuals understand the mechanism, normal reactions, and warning signals, they continue more confidently and persistently. Practical experience shows that keeping a journal of symptoms, diet, and bowel movements is a simple yet effective tool for timely adjustment, enabling early detection of abnormal patterns before crises occur. Finally, from emotional and social perspectives, traditional texts highlight that having a support network, from expert guidance to a practice community, greatly increases success rates. Dietary transition is not only a nutritional shift, but also a change in habits, beliefs, and lifestyle. Thus, comprehensive planning, personalization, continuous monitoring, and strategic slowing down when necessary are decisive factors for safe transition and sustainable healing outcomes. The overarching conclusion drawn from this entire transition process is that healing through diet is a sequential journey requiring planning, patience, and monitoring. The key is not applying a one-size-fits-all menu, but designing a personalized roadmap capable of adjusting to the body's real-time responses. As for practical guidance, treat the initial stage as preparation rather than a revolution. Gradually reduce mucus-forming foods and concentrated starches, while increasing cooked vegetables and light salads. Increase fruit intake only after bowel habits stabilize and abdominal heaviness diminishes. Next, build the plan stepwise in weekly or bi-weekly cycles. Test one small adjustment per cycle, more vegetables, less starch, a fruit-heavy meal. Observe reactions for 7 to 14 days, and move forward only if the body responds positively. Tracking and journaling are essential tools. Documenting diet, symptoms, bowel frequency, and energy levels helps detect overload signals early and allows timely retreat. When severe symptoms arise, persistent pain, fever, dehydration, or significant mental disturbances, the process should be paused and professional guidance sought. Foundational support measures include adequate hydration, gentle daily movement to promote circulation and intestinal motility, sleep regulation, and stress reduction. Each of these significantly softens the detox process. Guided interventions such as colon cleansing should be considered only when necessary and conducted under trained supervision. Improper self-administration can cause harm. Personalization based on age and medical history is crucial. Older adults, those with chronic illnesses or long-term constipation, require a slower pace with smaller adjustments. Clear criteria for stepping back should be established. If symptoms intensify, sharp energy decline, persistent pain, prolonged diarrhea, dehydration, return to transition foods and proceed only when stable. Finally, community and professional support are decisive. Joining practice groups, sharing progress, and periodically consulting experts helps maintain motivation and ensures safety. When the pace is appropriate, biological limits respected, and monitoring consistent, practitioners achieve sustainable improvements in energy, digestion, and overall well-being. The transition to a clean eating lifestyle becomes truly effective only when approached with understanding, patience, and respect for the body's natural limits. Discomfort is not failure, but a reminder that the body was not yet prepared. The transition diet serves as a foundational stabilizer, harmonizing detox pace, restoring digestive function, and building long-term resilience. With attentive observation and gradual adjustment, the body enters a new state of lightness, stability, and vitality. A key realization is that healing does not come from the strongest action, but from the most appropriate one. You can begin simply by reducing heavy starches, increasing cooked vegetables, drinking adequate water, moving gently, and observing your body every day. Small changes in the right direction accumulate into meaningful transformation. Which step in this journey feels most difficult for you to begin, and why? Share your thoughts below. If you'd like to receive an ebook that guides you through a safe healing roadmap, fill out the form in the description. And remember to subscribe, like, and share the video so we can continue creating valuable content for you.